Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hotfix Podcast, episode number 7. Briefly, before we started this podcast, we discussed that this might be our last one from isolation. So you get to stare at us both through one screen or one lens. Or we'll be in the same room, guys. Yay, that's cool.
Hopefully. We'll see. We will see.
We'll see what happens.
Things are looking good, though.
They are looking
good.
I hope everyone's staying safe. Thank you guys for tuning in yet again. You can find previous episodes at hotfixpodcast.com. If you like what we're doing, check those things out.
Welcome to Hotfix, the weekly podcast that dives into the fascinating world of streaming, gaming, and esports. With your hosts, Brant Vladichuk and Jeremy Kelly.
It's been an interesting week in the in the games world, dude. A little later in the episode, we're going to talk about the Xbox Series X event that happened, the pros and cons, the positives, and some a little bit of backlash that's been going on. But before we got into that, we had a quick thought and kind of wanted to delve a little bit deeper into like what really is the difference in USB cameras and microphones versus like the XLR mics and DSLR cams, because I'm a dummy and I don't know anything about this stuff. But you do both of those things with the real stuff, like on a professional level or something. So like
used to do it on a professional level.
See, I know a lot about my friends. It's great.
It's been a hot many years, but
you kind of know your way around it.
I know my way around a long, hard black thing that goes in front of my mouth.
All right. Guys, thank you for tuning in to episode number 7. We'll see you guys next week.
That's the end of the podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
But we wanted to, I guess, I more so wanted to kind of give you the floor as to just kind of maybe kind of describing your thoughts on the differences between the mics and cams on both ends, and like where the pros and cons lie on each end of those spectrums.
Yeah, for sure. I think I can definitely talk on mics, and like together we can talk about cameras.
Right.
Because, I mean, video quality is important, but I think there's a lot more opinions there. I want to talk about microphones, because every time I go on like the Twitch subreddit or the Mixer subreddit, there's going to be like 9 questions at least every day of what microphone do I get? What do I use? And every YouTube video that like explains the differences never really give a definitive answer on that.
Right.
So I kind of want to talk about that and give you the definitive answer of what microphone should you use. Now, if you're already an audiophile and you know about mics, you don't need to care about this, but it still might give you a little bit of insight. And so I guess your question was USB versus XLR.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just like what's the difference? What should people be looking out for? Why should people care about the differences like that? Just like, yeah, just a little bit of a conversation piece on those two different mics.
Yeah, so USB mics, it's pretty easy. A USB cable plugs into the mic, the other end plugs into the computer. You're good to go. Nothing crazy. You usually have like 1 or 2 knobs on the microphone itself for the level. And honestly, if you don't know much about mics or anything, that is the one that I would recommend.
Like me.
It's easy to set up, and you know, it's kind of a little bit foolproof. If you're looking for a little bit more flexibility, XLR mics, you do require an interface to plug into, and then the interface plugs into the computer.
So that interface is like a physical like mixer kind of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
but you don't necessarily need to go that route. What I like to tell people is when they're trying to figure out what mic to use is like, what is your goal for audio?
Right.
If you're a streamer and your goal is to just be heard on stream and have it not sound like garbage, you probably already have what you need with your gaming headset, honestly.
Right.
If you want to improve that a little bit, you can upgrade to like a Blue Yeti, which like the USB one, which is what you use, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And those sound great on stream. If you want to go a little bit farther, then you can look into buying a mixer, buying an XLR microphone, and going from there.
So is the biggest difference with the USB and the XLR mics just like your available options for what you can get yourself to sound like, I guess? Like, is that like as far as like adjusting bass and treble and gain and all that kind of stuff? Like, are there just more options with the XLR mic because you have that mixer, or?
Yeah, and you don't always have those options. Like if you have a very basic USB interface that you plug your microphone into, you might only have gain.
Right.
I know my Yamaha mixer, I have EQ and compression built into it, which is really nice. I don't have to do that in OBS or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I guess really the point I want to get across is you don't need to spend money to get good quality on stream. Because when you stream, you have a very limited quality cap with Twitch and Mixer and all the platforms. So
right.
if you buy like I don't know, let's say the one I'm using right now, this is like $130. And in my opinion, it sounds great on stream. It sounds great for the podcast. It is built for podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
If you bought, say, like a $4,000 Neumann U87, while yes, that microphone sounds a whole lot better, but because you're streaming, because it gets compressed, because the bit rate is so low, the user on the other end isn't going to hear a difference anyways.
Right, so there's only a certain level of quality you can even get to as a streamer.
Yeah.
So there's a diminishing returns factor at a certain point, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with you see a lot of streamers with the Shure SM7B.
Right. By far the most popular microphone, right?
Absolutely incredible. Super expensive. Again, might piss off a lot of people. You're buying that mic because it looks good on stream.
Right. Yeah.
It's not going to actually make your sound any better than using one of these $100 microphones. I'll be demoing. I have a second microphone beside me that costs $20.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of like demonstrate that the differences for this purpose, which is just talking,
right,
aren't huge. Microphone differences really come into play when you're singing or when you're recording instruments, when you really can take advantage of, instruments with nuances and stuff like that. But
right, like
if you're just streaming, if you're streaming, like it really doesn't matter.
Right, like with music and certain instruments and voices and instruments and voices, you're looking to pick up every little tiny detail, right? Whereas with streaming, you're kind of like you're just picking up someone talking for the most part. Like,
and your goal at the end of the day with streaming is to be heard,
right?
Like, and not have it sound like garbage,
right? So as long as you don't have like one of those, phone jack Walmart microphones from 2002 that you plug into the pink slot on the back of your computer, you're probably fine, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you're a new streamer who just wants to up their audio game a little bit and doesn't have a lot of knowledge in setting up a mixer, setting gain properly, go pick up a USB microphone and start from there.
Yeah,
because you can get them pretty inexpensive and they're going to sound just fine. Now, where you might want a better microphone, I know there's a lot of streamers that do more like broadcast style. Like if you have a very good voice for broadcast, then there definitely is an argument to buy a better microphone, like the Pod Mic or the SM7B. But generally, those people already know and aren't looking for a video like this anyways. So
right, like if you do just chatting and what you do is more like you're it's all about your voice, and the whole point of your channel is your voice and you talking or you singing or whatever it may be, then those higher end microphones can kind of shine a little bit more. But even still to that point, you are still limited by bit rate and all that kind of stuff, right? So even like the richest people in the world can only aren't with the absolute best gear still aren't getting maximum performance out of the piece of equipment that they're using, because Twitch limits what you can even get to, right?
Yeah, like streaming, there is quality cap, but there's definitely streamers that take advantage of really good dynamic microphones like the SM7B to get like that low end kind of like boosted kind of, I don't know what the term is.
But that's just like if you have
sexy,
like that,
sultry
yeah, if you have
sounding,
nice
and close up,
yes,
and that's kind of like the goal that they go for. That's part, like having that sound is a part of their stream. It's part of like what they offer. But if you're just, your whole offer is just like you just want to be heard, then don't go and spend $1,000 on audio gear.
Right, like there's a certain point you can get to where, like you said, fair enough. If people are looking to take it that much further, and again, like we've said on the podcast before, like people can spend their money on whatever the hell they want. Like I don't care, you know what I mean? But if your only goal, like you were saying, like that's a perfect way to put it. If the only goal is to be heard and not sound like ass, then you can just get a regular USB mic, Blue Yeti, whatever it may be, and you'll sound more than fine. Like you can add like through OBS and voice meter and stuff. You can add filters and a little bit of mixing and adjusting and that kind of stuff to get it to where it fits your voice best. It's not until you really want to dig into the nuances or you really want to really perfect the sound that you really need to get into the XLR level of stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's something when you get started with a USB mic and you start listening back, you'll start hearing what you want to change in your voice and your audio.
Right.
And that's when you'll know, okay, maybe I want this mixer with this microphone. But if you're just getting started, like start with the basics. If you want to get started and have like, if you know you're going to be upgrading XLR in the future, you can think of getting. So I got a second mic beside me right now. It literally costs $20. It's a knockoff of the SM7B, no, SM57 from Shure.
Right.
I'm going to switch it on right now.
Yep.
So now you hear me through that microphone. This is $130 less than the pod mic that I was using prior.
Right. So like, and like,
in just a talking scenario right now, it'll sound different, but at the end of the day, it serves its purpose as like you can hear me. You can hear me, and that's like the whole point of this purpose.
Yeah, and like I'm sure anyone listening to this there is a difference you can hear, but it's not like, oh my god, you're unbearable to listen to now. It's just like, okay, there is a little bit of a quality difference, but it's not so significant that if I was in your stream and you were using this mic instead of the better one, that I would leave. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and I think that should be what people need to, like, I guess, realize. Like, I know, like, I want this mic because Shroud uses it, right? You know what I mean? Show me what, like, people, everyone, like, so many streamers post their gear list, and then everyone's like, well, this is my favorite streamer, so I want everything that they have. It's like, well, you don't, like, these people have that stuff because, I mean, they've been doing it a long time. They're really successful. They have the resources to get those things. But if someone like Shroud were to use a Blue Yeti, and you never ever seen what his microphone looked like, I don't think you would think any more or less of him as a streamer.
No, not at all.
Right.
And just as the last microphone demo, I'm now talking through a $250-ish Blue Ember microphone.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
So 3 levels, 3 different prices. At the end of the day, if all you're doing is talking, it doesn't really matter.
Right. The mic.
You'll be heard, and it'll sound good from the nearly $300 mic to the $20 mic.
Right. And like you said
and
at the
the
beginning,
real differences comes into when you're recording music and singing and stuff. Which, if you do, the Blue Ember here is a condenser microphone. Sounds great for streaming. Sounds great for singing.
right. And have you used that microphone to record vocals and stuff?
Yeah. Okay, I'm back to the normal mic now.
Okay.
Yeah, the Blue Ember. So yeah, I guess to kind of wrap everything up on the microphone conversation a little bit. If you're new to audio, if you're new to streaming, don't go spending a lot of money. Don't get don't go buy a whole bunch of gear and get confused by it. Buy a nice, simple USB microphone. It'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
People will hear you. It's going to sound great.
Agreed.
And then upgrade from there. Once you know what you want, once you figure it out, go from there.
Yeah, step by step for sure.
And I feel like if you know any stuff about audio, then you kind of know what you're going to want to buy anyways.
Yeah, if you're like an audio person anyway, then like again, like you said earlier, like this, like those people wouldn't be here for that anyway. But it's good to always hear other people's opinions, I think, either way, right? And I think a lot of like people who are really in depth with audio wouldn't totally disagree with the whole idea that you can easily get by with a cheaper USB mic especially when it comes to streaming, right? Now when it comes to cameras, like I think that might be a little bit of a different story though, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this is another. I honestly don't know the answer for like, should you use a high quality DSLR versus just get the Logitech camera.
Right.
The only reason why I use my Sony A6000 is because I had it, because I do photography as well. But I would not have gone out and bought one for the purpose of streaming.
Right. But I think like I can't imagine anyone would think that your camera doesn't look better.
It really does look the difference is huge. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not huge. It does look incredible and it looks really good on stream.
But again, when it comes to those DSLR cameras, like I mean, you can spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on a DSLR camera, but you don't have to do that either, right? Like your camera isn't $2,000, is it?
I mean, you can pick these up like secondhand for like $500 now.
Right. So, like, I think
brand new was like $900-ish.
Mm-hmm, right. Whereas a C920 is like $80.
Yeah, exactly.
or something like that, right? So then it's like, okay, at what point is that improvement in quality worth it? You know what I mean? Like same thing. Lots of streamers do great and have gigantic audiences and get people come back all the time just using the C920.
Yeah, I mean, look at like XQC. Mm-hmm. Look at Forsen. Like Forsen's camera, I think he actually picked out from the dump.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go.
It's like
right?
a 4:3 aspect ratio, and it looks like garbage. But he has how many viewers every day?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There is definitely a noticeable difference, and then there's things like you can start getting into like the what do you call it? I think you use like mirrorless lenses or something to start blurring backgrounds and all that kind of stuff, right?
So you're getting your terminology a little skewed. So
yeah.
The camera I'm using is a mirrorless camera, not a DSLR.
Oh, they're two different things.
Yeah.
See, guys, this is why we want Brant to talk about this and not me.
Okay, let's not get into a technical conversation about cameras, but they're just two different types of cameras, DSLRs versus mirrorless.
Right, I got you. Yeah.
For blurring the background, that's just what would be called a fast lens, or a lens with a quick, like a really small number when you look at the aperture,
Right.
which is like the f-stop. So you want a lower number. So like f1.8 would give you a nice blurred background.
Which a
And
lot of
that
people like,
could
which
go on
on
any
stream
camera.
looks really good, right?
Yeah, it looks great.
Or
I
if you
wanna
stream
stick
in like a
a
living
lens
room,
like that on my camera eventually.
yeah. I mean,
But
like
they expansive.
if I would love to be able to blur the background. Like, I mean, anyone who's watching this right now, like I stream from my living room, right? Or I'm recording this from my living room. So if I could just like blur the entire background, like you can see the better part of my apartment. You know what I mean? So it's just like, obviously in this type of situation, if I could, I would love to blur this background. So that's like a huge, like, other than the quality, that's a huge like improvement, I guess, or benefit to having one of those higher end cameras, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But there are like programs coming out to artificially blur backgrounds, which look really interesting.
Yeah.
They're not perfect. Obviously, like, get yourself a mirrorless camera or a DSLR.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just continue calling them DSLRs right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it can be a DSLR or a mirrorless.
Right.
Yeah, getting
But
one of those with a nice fast lens would
Mhm.
would look incredible.
And then the setup for those cameras is different as well, right? There's a bit of a process, like with cam links and stuff like that.
It's surprisingly easy. Like, you
Okay.
get the Elgato Cam Link, you plug it in to the HDMI output of the camera, and your computer just recognizes it as a webcam.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so it's simple, but they're not cheap either, though, right?
Yeah, like the Cam Link is like, it was almost like $300 in Canada to get it. So
Yeah. It's
not
there's-
exactly worth it if you're an up and coming streamer.
yeah.
It's gonna be $1,000 to $1,500 investment to get that going well.
Right, exactly. And then so that's again where you want to weigh, okay, are the benefits worth the cost, right? Or is there something else that I could maybe upgrade for half the cost that would make my stream better or make my life easier or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah. And I don't want to, like, also, I just want to make it clear that we're not against investing into your own stream and making it better.
Not. Absolutely not.
Like, if you have the money or you've saved it up or you got one of those like fat donos from some sugar daddy somewhere, then absolutely go buy shit for your stream and make it better.
Hell yeah,
But
absolutely.
if you're, I guess the point we're trying to drive home is, like, if you're on the fence, if you don't know if you should buy it or not, it's probably a not.
That's fair. No, for sure. Yeah, I do find that, like, on the topics of cams and microphones, I do find that the difference between a high-end camera and a cheap camera versus a high-end microphone and a cheap microphone, the difference on the camera is much more obvious than it is with the microphone.
Yeah, agreed.
Right, and I mean,
you can get really good audio for pretty cheap, but the video,
a bit of a different story.
Bit of a different story.
Yeah, and when you pop into someone's stream who has their video set up really, really well, like, especially if they're partnered, they can stream at a really high bit rate in the full 1080p, and their camera looks insane too. It's like watching something in standard definition versus watching something in HD. You know what I mean? It's like, or I guess 100%. HD versus 4K or something like that. You know, it's like the difference is immediately obvious. But again, a lot of that, I mean, do we know for sure? I think we talked about this briefly before. At what resolution affiliates and non-affiliates can stream in?
So you can stream technically at whatever resolution you want. You're just capped at 6,000 bit rate.
Right.
Like, Twitch doesn't do any encoding. So whatever you send them is what they're going to display. Until you're partnered, then you get encoding profiles, and that's when it'll get 1080, 720, 360, 540, etc.
Right. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
But until you have that, like whatever you send Twitch is what they're going to display, because they're not going to use resources to encode your stream or to make it less resolution for whatever reason.
I gotcha. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I guess it's like, again, like you did say, it's good to drive that point home that like if you guys have the money and you guys have the interest, you guys want to delve into all that kind of the high end video and audio, then obviously go for it. Like make your stuff look better. Hell yeah, dude. That's improving your product, and that could pay off for sure. But
yeah, absolutely.
You just kind of want to weigh those scales, right? Like, is the extra investment worth it compared to what I already have? Or I guess also the point of like, especially these early episodes of this podcast, it's like, if you're brand new to streaming, or you're just starting out, or you're only a couple weeks in, or you're even interested in doing it, don't even know if you'll like, if you want to stream and you don't even know if you'll like it, don't spend $1,500 on a camera and a cam link and all this kind of stuff, right? Like
yeah,
get a Blue Yeti, get a C920, get a keyboard and a mouse, laughing. And you're good to go. Like, you know
yeah,
I mean?
You're laughing. That's a lot of partner streamers making a living. That's all they have.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. But it's something that, I don't know. I know a lot of people, especially if you have been streaming for a little bit. Like I know, especially like for me as well, it's like every couple weeks it kind of pops into your head. It's like, is this the time to upgrade the audio? Is this the time to upgrade the video? And then it's like you always have that juggle in your head, right? It's like, damn, that's like, especially if you don't know anything about it.
Like you're at a good place where like upgrades like make sense. You've been doing it for a while now.
That's right. Yeah.
And like I don't think you're going to be stopping anytime soon.
I don't plan on it. I mean, maybe this podcast will start making us so much money that we don't have to stream anymore.
Oh, easy.
I can
but that's
see
only
the
if people
signs.
Leave reviews on Apple Podcasts.
That's right, dude. Yes.
Wink, wink,
wink, wink. Apple Podcast 5-star reviews. By the way, it's like the new Amazon Prime, dude.
Did you know you could sub with your Amazon Prime? Wait, no.
Dude, I used to have that full speech, like the full what is Twitch Prime? And then like the whole like speech that you do about linking it to your Amazon Prime account and what the benefits were of Twitch Prime and all this kind of stuff. It was like a 1.5 minute long rant that I used to do. It was so funny.
Nice. Did you do that like every 5 minutes during your stream too?
I did it like, okay, when I first started streaming, I would do it. Like, I don't know, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. So like you would just like to try to think of something to talk about, you casually bring up the Twitch Prime thing. Especially that was like, I don't know, I guess like a lot of people were doing it. So maybe Twitch Prime was like a relatively new thing then, maybe. I can't really remember. But I used to do it like relatively frequently, and then it just kind of became a joke. Like then I would just do it as like a meme kind of thing. Because like
just every outro, that's all it should be.
Yeah, that's right. Well, like so, like one of like my regular viewers would be like, "Hey Shady, have you heard about Twitch Prime?" And then I just like go off on that spiel or whatever. Funny.
Nice, I like that. Did
you happen to catch the Xbox Series X event thing this week?
Of course I did.
Yeah, you're my Xbox boy. Do you want to do I am
the Xbox fanboy.
You are 100%. Indeed. You have like a quick a Twitter version of your thoughts of it?
Twitter version of my thoughts of it. Okay. It was a underwhelming event.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the like to dislike ratio on the YouTube video of the event, a lot of people agree. And it really comes down to them definitely kind of screwing up the expectations on what gameplay is.
For sure. So for anyone that doesn't know, as of recording this episode, which is May 8th, they posted the full event on their YouTube page, and right now it has 19,000 likes and 24,000 dislikes. They're getting a little bit of backlash off of backlash off the back of that event.
Yeah, well, because they promised gameplay and they gave almost none. There was gameplay, but when you promise a whole bunch of gameplay demos
Yeah.
and you give like 15 seconds of gameplay, it doesn't quite do it.
No, for sure. Yeah, they kind of like you said, I think you were saying before we started recording that they issued like a bit of a my bad on this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, credit where credit is due. I don't remember his name, but they tweeted out saying like, "Hey, like our bad. We failed at setting expectations and with the wording and everything." So they owned up. They apologized, and
Right.
you know, you gotta love it when a big company admits when they've kind of fucked up.
At least
and,
admits
like,
fault.
apologize
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think like the big thing leading up to this was that they were going to show like significant gameplay for the new Assassin's Creed game, right? Which like people are super hyped about. And I thought there was like rumors that they were going to show Halo gameplay as well.
I mean, those rumors were kind of addressed early.
Were they?
So they're not revealing any first party titles until the July event.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that was made clear. So
okay.
Anybody expecting that's kind of on you.
Fair enough.
Because
Yeah.
they made that clear before the event that all the first party titles are going to be in July.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can't wait for the July one.
Yeah, that'll be that'll be very, very fun. But I like aside from the ways that they messed it up, was there anything in there that kind of stood out to you as far as information released? Like they show like the I think they showed the controller before, but like their website has like a proper bit of a page on the controller. Like any of the trailers that kind of stood out to you as like, man, this looks like something I could be super into?
There's a couple. One, I can't remember the name. But it's the game that was created by one dude.
Yeah, that first person shooter they showed right off the jump.
Yeah, and it had like all that crazy movement and shit. It was like one man made that. One person.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It looks nuts.
Like that kind of blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Second Extinction. Also, like it looks hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like what's that zombie game in the mall where it's just like hordes of zombies and all you do is kill zombies nonstop? Dead Rising.
Dead Rising, exactly. Yeah.
It's like Dead Rising but dinosaurs. It looked like.
yeah.
And I'm a little excited for that because from the trailer, that's all I could tell is all you do is you get your 4 buds and you just fuck up dinosaurs. What?
Yeah,
that
looks cool.
That looks hilarious.
Yeah.
Scorn looked disgusting.
Scorn
made me very uncomfortable.
Horrifying. I can't
excited,
wait, dude. That trailer was rad. It was so creepy.
Yeah.
Anyone that's watching this, you guys can just search the Xbox Series X event and the whole trailer's there. It's like how long is it? It's 27 minutes if you want to watch the whole thing. But
yeah. Then the other one is sorry, I cut you off again.
No, go ahead.
CEO of cutting people off. The Medium. I've been like dying for like a good psychological horror game again.
Yeah. Medium looks cool.
That looked really cool, and it was the composer of Silent Hill. Was it Silent Hill? Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
So
that was
that's gonna be scary.
The trailer for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 was one of the coolest, creepiest BioShock We Happy Few vibe.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And like there hasn't been a good vampire game in a long time.
There really hasn't.
Like,
and that's something like Gabby wanted to play a vampire game.
Yeah. And like there's that game,
shit out of luck for that.
There's that game called Vampire that came out like 2 years ago. That's like not bad. Like it's pretty good. And like if it's like on Games Pass or something and you could just like kind of play it, it's probably worth playing through. But it's not like super, super good. But there used to be like, if you think of like like Legacy of Kain, like he was a vampire, right? Or you think of like Blood Rain from like PlayStation 2, I think it was. Like those games were super, super good, man. And I think just from that trailer anyway, like obviously it's tough to tell, and this is why people are so pissed off, because there wasn't much gameplay for any of these. But the vibe of that game comes off as like, it almost feels a bit what's the movie where oh my god, where they're like vampires but it's like modern day. I mean, I guess there's a whole bunch of those. I guess it could be like it could be like 1,000 different vampire movies, whatever. But it looks like it's like, because I think it's set in like Seattle, but it's like modern day Seattle. But the trailer looks super, super cool, and it's super creepy with like the dead people with the carved out smiley faces hanging from like piano strings, putting up the Christmas tree.
At first, I thought it was going to be like. At first, I was like, "Oh, is this some weird like Joker spinoff?"
Yeah. Because that's kind of what it came off
the
as.
Smiling faces.
Yeah, it looks really, really neat. I did want to talk a little bit about what next gen is gonna be, in my opinion, anyway. Because I don't think from any of the images or even brief gameplay that's come out, like, I don't think the games look super, super next gen. Like, they look good, obviously, but it's not like, you know, like this monumental leap in what the games visually look like. But I
think for that we need to wait for the July event, because this is all third-party developers. Right? The first-party developers aren't. We don't know what they're doing yet, and that's when we're going to see the actual power of next gen. Because like these developers, they don't have to take advantage of the console power at all.
Very true. I just have a feeling that with next gen, with this iteration, I guess, or at least for the next couple of years, that quote unquote next gen is going to be more about how a game feels versus the graphical fidelity of the game. And what I mean by that is I think it's going to be no loading screens. It's going to be games absolutely. like the consoles are on SSDs now, so everything just runs faster. There's less screen tearing. There's draw distances are better. There's like I guess like ray tracing would fall into visual, but it's like it's not, oh my god, this is like a photorealistic looking game now. I think it's just going to be more about little interactions you can do, and little like attention to detail in the worlds, the world building. I think that's going to be the kind of thing that's going to feel more next gen, as opposed to this character model looks infinitely better than it did on Xbox One X. You know what I mean? Like if you think of like Red Dead 2 as like an example of like the little minute things that you can do in the game that just like really makes it stand out above a lot of other games. Just as far as like, you know, if you think of when you walk, it actually leaves your footprint in the mud. Or like if you walk through water, your pants get wet, and if you stand in the sun, they'll dry out. Or if you run through dirt, your boots get dirty. Like these kind, like, you know what I mean? Like these like little interactions you don't really think about, but if you do notice them, it's like these that attention to detail is something that makes a game like that stand out above the rest, kind of thing. And I think it's gonna be little things like that are just gonna become more commonplace, that will start to feel more next gen. Again, I think the loading screens are gonna be a big thing, in the sense that there will be little to no loading screens like very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to no loading screens.
Yeah.
But I do think they're like, once we see the reveal of more of these first party development games coming out, I feel like there's gonna be a huge leap in like the graphical fidelity.
And I really, really hope so. Like, because
like they've released the specs and the power of. I'm talking about both consoles right now. The PS, what are we on? PS5 now.
PS5, yeah.
Yeah, PS5 and the Xbox X, Series X. Like, they aren't weak.
No,
There's a
absolutely not.
lot of power behind them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's, in addition to load and no loading screens, we are going to see a massive jump in graphics as well.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess the reason that I think that the graphical fidelity won't blow people away is because you see so much stuff played on PC now anyway, that as far ahead as modern graphics are, you see those already on PC. But then that being said, first parties for PlayStation or for Sony and for Microsoft definitely have been working on true next gen games for years and years, and those true next gen games just haven't come out obviously on PC or anything yet either. So we definitely could be lining up for a monumental leap in just what a game looks like. Like that's definitely possible. I didn't really think about that up until like us having this conversation right now, where it's like the modern games, the best graphically looking games we're seeing right now were being made 3, 4, 5 years ago and are only now just coming out, right?
Yeah.
So that's the same type of idea, I guess. But then when you talk about first parties for PlayStation and Xbox, it's like, okay, they've had inside access to the absolute best of the best for years, knowing the direction the console is trying to take it, and they could take advantage of all the minute details of the hardware, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we really do have to wait for this July event and then moving forward to really see where graphics are going with next gen.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah,
we'll
I mean,
see. Sony, I don't know when Sony is releasing anything like that, but probably soonish.
Yeah, I would think
we might see something from Sony.
I do look forward to the day that I'm proved wrong as far as the graphical side of things, and we just started a podcast. I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm gonna eat my shorts here, dude. Like, you are absolutely right.
I have a lot of faith.
Yeah.
I have a lot of faith that they're going to kill it with these next gen consoles.
I don't have any faith in any game developer anymore because everything sucks.
I think that's a whole other podcast episode there.
Man, anyone that's been in my streams knows I've been having such a hard time, man. I've been having such a hard time finding something. I know we talked about it last week and I think the week before, and I probably bring it up all the time. It's about how it's so hard to find something to really, really enjoy. The last thing we wanted to talk about. We're in
such a game limbo right now.
It really feels like it, man. It feels like we're just in like this weird purgatory where everything is stale. Nothing is like, no game comes out complete, or there's always these bugs or cheaters or something. Like it doesn't seem like any developer can get it right now. That's what it feels like anyway.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, It's so frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. Like, that's not so much the case, not as much anyway, with single player games. When it comes to any kind of multiplayer thing, especially online, it's just like, I think the developers or whoever it is just they're just dragging their heels or something, man. Like, it seems like there's almost like a new wave of talent that needs to come into those studios and start doing something to really get rid of all these things that are dragging games down. Like I said, like the bugs and the server issues and the lag and the ping spikes and cheaters and like, man, oh man, it's just constant. It seems like every other day you're hearing about a different game that someone's experience was ruined because of something like that, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, agreed.
Gaming
sucks right now.
Gaming sucks. Gaming sucks, dudes. Find a new hobby.
Yeah. I should start a podcast or something.
Really though, since this has been going on, just going around flipping through different channels and trying to see people playing different stuff all the time, I just wanted to get your take, and this can be a real quick thing about what if you take the entertainment value of the streamer out of the equation. Because if someone's entertaining, you can watch them paint their nails. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
they'll be entertaining. But what do you think makes an actual game fun to watch? Like, what do you look for? I guess obviously that's very objective.
Very subjective.
Subjective. Yeah, it's very subjective as what your likes are. But for you personally, what's something that you look for and what makes something fun to watch?
I pretty much only watch like challenge type runs. So that could be Borderlands 1 Life Challenge, where you have to beat the whole game in every mode without dying once, or speed running.
Mm-hmm.
I very rarely, I just don't watch streaming for the sake of watching someone do like a single player playthrough and go through the story, you know?
Right. Like if you wanted to, you would just play
I'll
yourself.
I'll never find
I guess,
that
right?
fun.
Yeah, I got you.
Like I would never watch someone play through Red Dead Redemption, regardless of how entertaining they are.
But some people love that, right? Like some people could just,
and that's why it's subjective. Like that's,
yes, of course,
yeah. That's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. So your biggest thing is watching someone try something that's supposed to be very challenging and then seeing if they can do it. That's like kind of the
exactly.
I guess
or like high level first person shooter stuff I'll watch, like a really high level Halo player or a high level Call of Duty player.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's things to get from that. Like you can watch them and you can learn from it.
For sure. And I guess that's kind of like that the idea of watching someone take on a challenge and then watching someone who's really good at first person shooters. I guess that's kind of what the appeal for watching battle royales is, isn't it? Because every game is almost like the odds of winning are so low, right? It's that one chance. It's like, okay, this is the challenge. Can this person actually stay alive? Right. And I guess that's kind of like, if you combine,
that's a really good point, actually.
You know what I mean?
Every BR game is kind of a challenge. Like it's a challenge. It's a long running challenge thing,
exactly. And like a BR game can, I guess, depending on the game, will take 30 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. But if you wanted to sit down and watch one person try one time, okay, you can sit down for a half hour and watch them get through. And if they win, it's like, okay, that person, like, I know that was kind of the biggest thing with PUBG, was like PUBG was so good at telling it kind of, like, every game almost told a story. Like if you're winning, you know what I mean? And it's like, again, it's that challenge of, did you land in the right place? Can you find the good gear? Do you know the path, the travel? Can you use terrain properly? And it's not, whereas like a more of an arena style game, it's very finite as to what they can and can't do and where they can and can't go. Whereas with those BRs, it's very open-ended to how you can play it. So it's that challenge that can be approached in a billion different ways.
Yeah,
I guess that like
exactly.
like I'm just thinking of this now, but I guess that's like kind of the reason why BRs became so popular to watch, right? Because there is that, like, if you drop in with 100 or 150 people, depending on the game or whatever, it's like the chances of you winning this are extremely slim,
very low,
right? So,
and I can definitely say, like, winning a BR is probably one of the best feelings.
It's
ever.
So exciting. It's so exciting. Like, because that's also where you get the idea of, like, if you went up against, like, if the best FPS player in the world dropped into a BR, like, they don't win every game.
Nope.
Right? You know what I mean? But like there's a chance that I could kill an amazing FPS player in a BR game, but if I was playing the best FPS player in Counter-Strike, I'm going to lose 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, exactly. There's just more to a BR than who can flick the fastest.
Exactly. It's there's a big I find with BR, and again that it brings me back to PUBG is one that I just played for 1,800 hours or whatever the hell it is. So it's like PUBG felt like a chess, like a game of chess. Like, it's not just the shooting, it's the positioning and the, can you use your utility? Can you fake people out? Can you trick them? Can you do X, Y, and Z before they can figure out you're doing it? And it's like, it was all this give and take and this back and forth that made those BRs so fun. But like my answer is almost the same as yours, really. If you do take the streamer out of it entirely, unless it's a game that I'm interested in, like I was playing like some city builders and stuff like that, and I could watch other people play city builders, but it's more so as a tutorial, right? Like, it's more of a I would watch this person do this so I can okay, I see. Okay, they're doing it this way. I never thought about that. So it's just ways to improve my gaming experience as opposed to watching it for. It's more of like a learning experience as opposed to watching it for any kind of entertainment value.
Yeah, I gotcha.
For sure. Anyone that has watched this that's interested, wanted to let us know what you guys do enjoy watching in streams, or what's the thing that keeps you coming back to a certain game. If you watch a certain category of game, what keeps you going back to those channels? If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know in the comments, or if you wanted to pop into one of our streams and let us know why you guys do go back to certain games or certain genres as opposed to certain streamers, right?
Yeah, leave that below. We'd like to hear.
Appreciate it, guys. I think that's all we have for this week, dude.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome,
We're about
man.
an hour now. Sounds perfect.
Oh, we did it. We did it again, dude.
Number 7 in the history books.
Check. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for coming back each and every week. We really, really do appreciate it. One more quick reminder about that we are up on Apple Podcasts right now. So if you guys do enjoy that and you happen to listen to us through Apple, it would mean a whole lot if you guys could give us a 5-star review. Those things go a long way in the first couple weeks of us being up on those Apple Podcasts. So any kind of support that way is much appreciated. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. And we do post every Monday. As far as YouTube goes, very soon we're going to start uploading some extra clips and stuff throughout the week to kind of give you guys more condensed content, focusing more on specific topics pulled from the podcast. So, if you don't want to listen to the full hour, you're just curious about the 10 minutes on whatever the topic may be, those things are going to start going up very soon as well. So stay tuned for that. And again, if you subscribe to the channel, you'll see those pop up as they come. We'll have more details on that probably next week, as to like the days they'll go up and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace out.
Bye-bye. Hey, Gabby.
What?
How was that one? Oh, she wasn't listening. Okay, well. Okay, should we just redo it?
F's in the chat, boys.
F's in the chat, boys.